Decoded.
Hey bookworms, welcome back to Book Decoded. This time we're cracking open Tony Robbins' Unshakeable, your financial freedom playbook.
Oh yeah, this one's a good one. You know, it's funny, this book, it isn't just about picking stocks or, playing the market.
Right.
It's more like a masterclass in building a mindset, this unshakable confidence that helps you not just survive, but thrive in the financial world.
Thrive, yeah. And get this, Tony's donating all the profits from this one, just like he did with his last book, Money Mastered the Game, to Feeding America. Talk about putting your money where your heart is.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone makes this book worth checking out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, let's dive into what it means to be truly unshakable. Tony had this crazy experience. He was only 31 when he found out he had a brain tumor. And instead of crumbling, he used it as fuel. It's like he learned to stare down fear and say, not today. He wants us to bring that same energy to our finances, not letting market swings or, scary headlines dictate our moves.
So it's not about never feeling fear, but about not letting it run the show.
Right.
Sort of like, okay, fear, I see you, but I'm making decisions based on logic and my long-term goals.
Right. Exactly. And to help us build that unshakable portfolio, he lays out what he calls the core 4 principles of investing.
Okay.
It's like the bedrock of a solid financial house.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay those principles on me.
All right, first up, don't lose money. Sounds obvious, but it's about prioritizing protecting what you've got, especially when the market gets wild. Recovering from big losses is way harder than just staying steady.
Yeah. It's like that saying, sometimes the best offense is a good defense. You don't always have to swing for the fences to win the game.
Right. Then there's asymmetric risk reward.
Okay.
This is where things get interesting. It's about seeking out investments where the potential upside is way bigger than the downside.
And they have some pretty compelling examples from, some big-time investors.
Oh, tons. He talks about guys like Paul Tudor Jones, who has this 5-to-1 rule, only risking $1 if he can potentially make 5. And Richard Branson, who built in a safety net when he started Virgin Atlantic, making sure he could return the planes if things went south.
Clever. That's limiting the risk big time.
Totally.
And what about that Carl Icahn story? Betting against the housing market before the 2008 crash. Talk about a gutsy move that paid off big time.
Right. That's asymmetric risk reward in action. And these aren't just isolated cases. It's a core principle used by tons of successful investors. It's all about carefully assessing both the potential wins and the potential losses.
Makes sense. Okay, what's the next principle? I'm starting to see how this unshakable mindset comes together.
Okay. The third principle is tax efficiency, which, is often overlooked, but super important, especially for savvy investors like you. It's not just about how much you make, but how much you get to keep after those pesky taxes.
Right, like David Swenson, the Yale investment guru, said, taxes matter. Taxes matter a lot.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that part when you're excited about potential returns.
Exactly. So Tony emphasizes things like using tax-advantaged accounts and being strategic about which investments you choose. Sometimes those seemingly small percentages can add up to a big difference in your overall wealth, over time.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting the picture. What's the final principle of the core 4?
Last but not least, diversification. It's classic advice for a reason. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Tony breaks this down further, encouraging us to diversify across asset classes, markets, time, and even managers.
So it's not just about having stocks and bonds, but about spreading your bets within each of those categories, too. Makes sense if one area takes a hit, you've got others to cushion the blow.
Precisely. And it's about being in it for the long game, consistently investing over time rather than trying to time the market perfectly. And, Ray Dalio, the founder of Bridgewater Associates, has this concept of having 15 uncorrelated bets, his holy grail of investing. The idea is if your bets are uncorrelated, when one goes down, the others aren't likely to follow, giving you more stability.
15.
Yeah.
That's a lot of baskets for your eggs. But I see the logic. The more uncorrelated your investments, the less likely a single event will wipe you out, right?
Exactly. It's like building a financial fortress that can withstand pretty much anything. So with these 4 principles, Tony's essentially giving us a blueprint for an unshakable portfolio.
Yeah.
One built on solid ground and ready to face whatever the markets throw at us.
Okay, this is all starting to click.
Yeah.
But what about the less glamorous side of the financial world?
Yeah.
The fees, the hidden costs, the folks who might not have our best interests at heart. Tony doesn't shy away from that either, does he?
No, he does not. He dedicates a whole section to what he calls the wolves of Wall Street.
Oh, yeah, those guys.
Yeah, those who prey on unsuspecting investors. He pulls back the curtain on some of the shady practices out there, especially in the world of mutual funds and retirement plans.
Yeah, I remember that part. He really gets into the weeds, exposing all those hidden fees that can slowly drain your savings over time. It's kind of scary, honestly.
It is, it is. And he uses this example of his friend Craig, who thought he had a pretty decent 401k plan. Turns out it had fees of over 2.5%.
Oof.
Craig had no clue how much that was costing him until Tony pointed it out.
Ouch. That's a sneaky way to bleed someone dry.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder how many people are out there, just like Craig, totally unaware of how much they're losing to fees.
Exactly. And that's why Tony stresses the importance of really scrutinizing your investments, understanding what you're paying for it and making sure you're getting your money's worth. He's a big advocate for finding a fiduciary.
A fiduciary?
Yeah, a registered investment advisor who's legally obligated to put your interests first.
Okay, so it's not just about picking the right investments, but also about finding the right people to guide you. People you can trust. That makes a lot of sense. But let's be real, even with the best advisors and a solid portfolio, the market can still be unpredictable, right?
What about those inevitable dips and crashes? How do we stay unshakable when things get turbulent?
Right. That's where mastering your mindset really comes in. Tony dedicates a big chunk of the book to the psychology of wealth, arguing that our emotions can be our biggest saboteurs when it comes to investing.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm definitely guilty of making, impulsive decisions based on fear or FOMO. Like that time I panic sold everything during the last market dip and missed out on the rebound.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh, we've all been there. But Tony breaks down some of the most common mental traps that trip us up, like confirmation bias, where we only seek out information that supports what we already believe, even if it's wrong. He tells the story about a client who lost millions because she was so attached to a losing stock, refusing to see the writing on the wall.
It's like we become emotionally invested in our choices and it clouds our judgment. What other biases does he talk about?
Well, he also covers overconfidence bias, where we think we can predict the market, or beat it consistently, leading to risky bets that often backfire. Then there's loss aversion, where the pain of a loss hits us harder than the joy of an equal gain, making us hold on to losing investments for way too long.
Oh, I know that one all too well. It's like cutting your losses feels worse than the hope of things turning around, even when it's probably smarter to just move on.
Exactly. And finally, there's negativity bias, where our brains tend to focus on negative news and information more than positive, making us overly fearful during market downturns, even if history shows they're usually temporary.
So basically, our brains are wired to freak out, even when freaking out is the worst thing we can do. So what's the antidote to all this? How do we overcome these biases and stay level-headed when the market throws a tantrum?
Well, Tony offers a bunch of practical strategies. First, he says we need to be aware of these biases, to recognize them when they're popping up in our thinking. Then it's about creating systems and rules to guide our decisions, taking the emotion out of the equation as much as possible. He's a big fan of things like dollar cost averaging and rebalancing, which help us stay disciplined and avoid those knee-jerk reactions.
So it's kind of like having a financial game plan in place, so you're not just reacting to every little blip in the market. But what about when things really do go south? How do you stay calm and collected during a full-blown crash or correction?
Right. Well, Tony has a whole chapter on slaying the bear, which is all about navigating those inevitable market downturns. He starts by reminding us that corrections are a normal part of the market cycle. They've happened throughout history, and they'll continue to happen. It's not a matter of if, but when.
That's reassuring, I guess. But it's still easy to get caught up in the panic when you see your portfolio shrinking. Does he offer any tips for dealing with that fear?
He does. He says that having a financial cushion, some emergency savings set aside, can really help to ease the anxiety during those tough times. It gives you the freedom to ride out the storm without feeling forced to sell at a loss. He also emphasizes the importance of diversification, which we talked about earlier. Having a portfolio that's spread across different asset classes can help to mitigate the impact of any single market event.
So it's like having a diversified financial immune system that can fight off those economic viruses.
Right.
Makes sense, but it's still hard to shake that feeling of doom and gloom when everyone around you is freaking out.
I hear you. And that's why he emphasizes the importance of focusing on the long game. He reminds us that the market has always recovered from downturns in the past, and it will again in the future. It's about zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, and remembering that short-term fluctuations are just blips on the radar of a long-term upward trend.
So basically, don't panic, stay the course, and trust the process. Easier said than done, but I'm starting to see how this unshakable mindset can make all the difference. It's not just about the money. It's about having the mental and emotional tools to weather any storm. Right.
Exactly. And Tony doesn't stop at financial wealth. He takes it a step further, talking about this concept of real wealth, a deeper form of abundance that goes beyond just money.
Oh, yeah. I was curious about that. What does he mean by real wealth? Is it like finding your purpose, living a meaningful life, that kind of thing?
It's all of that and more. He talks about living in a beautiful state, a state characterized by positive emotions like love, joy, gratitude, and peace, regardless of your external circumstances.
That sounds lovely, but also kind of abstract. How do you actually cultivate that beautiful state? Is it like meditation or something?
Well, he offers a bunch of different techniques. He talks about the power of focus, consciously directing your attention towards things you appreciate rather than dwelling on the negative. He's also a big believer in gratitude, taking time each day to acknowledge the good things in your life, big or small.
Yeah.
And he emphasizes the importance of contribution, using your unique talents and resources to make a positive impact on the world around you.
So it's kind of like an inside-out approach to wealth.
Right.
Cultivating inner peace and fulfillment first, and then letting that radiate outward into your financial life and your relationships with others. It's not just about having more, it's about being more.
Right, exactly. It's about recognizing that true wealth isn't just about what you accumulate. It's about who you become in the process, and that's a powerful message, isn't it?
It is. It's like he's saying that true financial freedom goes hand in hand with emotional and spiritual freedom. And, it makes sense. When you're grounded in a sense of inner peace and purpose, those external ups and downs like market fluctuations don't seem quite as scary or overwhelming.
Absolutely. It's like having this inner compass that guides you no matter what storms you encounter along the way. And that's what Unshakeable is all about. Building that inner resilience, that unshakable confidence that allows you to not just survive, but thrive in all areas of your life.
Well, I have to say, I'm feeling pretty inspired right now. This book sounds like a total game changer. What are some of the key takeaways you'd like our listeners to walk away with? What are the most actionable steps they can take to start building their own unshakable life?
That's a great question. First, remember those core 4 principles. They're your foundation for building a solid, resilient portfolio. Don't lose money, seek asymmetric risk-reward, prioritize tax efficiency, and diversify like crazy. And don't forget to watch out for those sneaky fees.
Right. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your hard-earned money. What else?
Second, remember that investing isn't just about numbers and spreadsheets. It's about mastering your emotions. Be aware of those pesky cognitive biases that can sabotage your decisions, and create systems and rules to help you stay disciplined, even when the market gets crazy.
So it's about taking a more strategic, less emotional approach to investing.
Cool.
Anything else?
Yes. Embrace the idea of real wealth. It's not just about your bank account. It's about cultivating a mindset of gratitude, joy, and peace. Focus on the good stuff. Appreciate what you have and contribute to the world in a way that feels meaningful to you.
Love it. So it's about building a life that's not just financially abundant, but also emotionally and spiritually fulfilling. That's a beautiful thing. Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Just remember, you don't have to do this alone. Seek out mentors, advisors, communities that can support you on your journey. Surround yourself with people who inspire you and who believe in your potential. And remember, the only impossible journey is the one you never begin. So take that first step, dive into Unshakeable, and start creating the life you truly desire.
Beautifully said. And hey, if Tony Robbins can become unshakable, starting with a brain tumor at 31, I think we can all find the strength to face our own financial fears and create a future we're excited about. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
You got it. It's been a pleasure. And remember, true wealth is within your reach. It starts with a decision, a commitment to action, and the courage to never give up on your dreams.
That's it for this episode of Book Decoded. We hope you found this exploration of Unshakeable insightful and inspiring. And remember, we'll be back next time with another deep dive into a book that can help you create a richer, more fulfilling life.
Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to become unshakable in all areas of your life.